All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. So today, we're going to tackle probably the biggest phone launch buzz right now, right? The Galaxy S26 Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of know the design's going to be slick, the specs, well, they'll push things forward again.
Yep.
But the one thing, the single biggest factor for deciding if you're going to upgrade this time, it's simple. It's the price.
Oh, absolutely. That's the absolute truth. I mean, everyone's talking features, but really, with component costs going up, inflation, that price tag, it's not just a number, it's strategy.
Exactly.
And the big question everyone's asking is, Samsung pulled off that surprise last year, kept prices flat. Can they do it again for the S26, especially when, well, the pressure feels even higher now?
That is exactly what we're trying to figure out today. We're going to dive into all the sources we have, the rumors, which are kind of all over the place, the supply chain whispers, what the competition's doing, to really decode what Samsung's likely planning for the S26 pricing. And maybe more importantly, why just holding the price this year is such a huge challenge for them.
Yeah, and to really get why they're under the gun, you got to look back just 1 year, right? The S25.
The precedent.
Exactly. When the S25 launched, I mean, every serious analyst was calling for a price hike, maybe $50, maybe even $100 across the board.
Yeah, I remember that. Rising costs, the whole post-pandemic supply chain mess.
Right. All pointed towards more expensive phones.
And yet, they didn't budge. Samsung kept the S25 prices locked, same as the S24.
It was honestly a masterstroke strategically.
It really was. Avoided all that negative press, and everyone pretty much agreed it helped boost their sales numbers.
Huge win. But it sets this really tough benchmark, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They proved they could absorb the costs once. So now if the S26 price goes up, the criticism won't just be about the hike itself. It'll be, hey, why couldn't you do what you did last year? The stakes are just higher.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What is the market actually telling us now about the cost pressures, specifically for the S26 components?
Well, the main threat, the really big one, is hanging over the most expensive single part of the phone.
The processor. The processor. TSMC, the top dog chip maker globally, they've been pretty open about plans to raise their prices, especially for the really cutting-edge stuff.
Okay.
And since Samsung relies a lot on Qualcomm for their main chips, particularly in the big markets like the US.
And Qualcomm uses TSMC.
Exactly. So that TSMC price hike, it flows right through Qualcomm directly onto Samsung's bill.
So, okay, if they stick with that Qualcomm-heavy approach like they usually do in the States, a price increase seems almost baked in, unless they just decide to swallow that cost,
right,
which kills their profit margin.
Right, significantly. Which brings us to Samsung's countermeasure. How do they possibly stabilize that total cost to build the phone?
What's the buffer?
This is where having their own chip division really comes into play. The sources are pointing pretty strongly towards Samsung leaning much more heavily on its own Exynos processors.
Exynos.
Specifically, the latest generation, the one they call a Cross-S internally. And just to remind listeners that Cross-S name, that refers to their own custom design cores, right? Aiming for better performance, better efficiency than older Exynos chips.
Precisely. The idea is by using more of their own Exynos chips, which they design and manufacture themselves, they can sidestep paying that higher premium to TSMC and Qualcomm.
Yep.
In theory, that helps keep the overall production cost, stable, or stabler anyway.
That sounds like the perfect fix on paper.
Yeah.
But if we're honest, looking back at Exynos history, sometimes there have been, let's say, performance gaps compared to the Qualcomm version in the same phone series. Is relying so much on Exynos just for cost control a safe bet? Or is there a performance risk that could actually, annoy users who expect the absolute best?
That's the tightrope they're walking. It's a huge gamble. The whole strategy hinges on this new cross-Exynos chip being basically neck and neck with the top Qualcomm chip.
Indistinguishable performance.
Pretty much. If users perceive any real difference, maybe it feels a bit slower, maybe battery life isn't quite as good, maybe it runs hotter if that happens because they went all in on Exynos, then saving money on the chip cost is pointless. People won't buy it or they'll complain loudly.
Right.
The sources do say Samsung is acutely aware of this. They're reportedly pushing a cross-development like crazy to hit that performance target.
Okay, but let's game this out. What if that Exynos buffer isn't enough? Or what if other costs just pile up too high? What's the actual number we might see added to the price tag?
If they have to pass the costs on, the consensus in the report seems to be somewhere between, say, $50 and $100 extra.
Per phone.
Per phone, yeah. So if the S26 Ultra, the big one, takes that kind of hit, You could see its starting price climb to maybe $1,240, maybe even $1,299.
Wow.
And boom, suddenly the S26 Ultra is right up there as one of the absolute most expensive mainstream flagship phones. That puts a ton of pressure on its appeal.
Okay, so price hike is a real possibility. But assuming, maybe optimistically, that they do manage the costs with Exynos.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the phone lineup itself, because that's another area where the rumors are just wild.
Oh, yeah.
Especially around the Plus model. What's going on there?
It is genuinely confusing this year. The lineup puzzle, it's tricky. We're seeing two main kind of conflicting stories in the source material.
Okay, what's scenario one?
Scenario one is simpler. They just drop the Pluses model altogether, just have a standard S26 and the S26 Ultra, maybe consolidating that middle ground.
Okay. And scenario two?
Scenario two, which honestly feels like it has more recent traction in the rumors, suggests they actually expand the lineup to 4 models.
4. So you'd have the S26 standard, the S26 Plus, the S26 Ultra.
Yeah.
What's the 4th one then?
The rumored new addition is something called the S26 Edge.
Edge, like the old curved screens. Or something else.
The name might just be about differentiation. The sources describe this S26 Edge as being focused on the physical design, specifically being thinner and lighter.
Ah, okay. So less about a curved screen, more about the form factor itself.
Exactly. Seems like a strategic play.
What's the thinking there? Why bring in an Edge model now that's all about being slim?
Well, it could be targeting that user who wants, a premium phone, but finds the Ultra maybe just a bit too big, a bit too heavy.
Right. Maybe someone who prioritizes sleekness over having the absolute biggest battery or the most complex camera system.
Precisely. It's maybe a direct response to competitors who really push those super thin, light designs. And the rumored price, they expect the Edge to slot right in where the Plus usually sits, around that $900, maybe the $999 mark.
Okay, so it offers a different kind of premium choice, an aesthetic one, in that upper mid-tier.
That seems to be the idea, a different flavor of premium.
All right, let's try and nail down the 2 core price scenarios then, just to make it super clear for listeners. Scenario A, this is the best case, right? Exynos works, they hold the line like they did with the S25.
Right, the stable scenario. In that world, you'd likely see the standard Galaxy S26 starting only $799 again. The middle phone, whether it ends up being the Plus or this new Edge, lands around $999.
Yeah.
And the big one, the S26 Ultra, stays locked at that really important $199 starting price.
Okay, that's scenario A. Now scenario B, the cost pressure wins. They can't fully absorb the increases.
That's the less fun scenario for consumers. Prices go up. And the headline grabber is the S26 Ultra potentially jumping towards, like we said, $1,249 or even $1,300 at launch.
And that $100 difference, that really changes things, doesn't it? Especially when you look at the competition.
Oh, absolutely. That brings us right to the competitive landscape. Why does keeping that price stable matter so much for Samsung versus, say, Apple or Google?
Yeah, why is it critical?
Because every single dollar they add, especially that $50 or $100 jump, it just cracks the door open wider for their rivals. The high-end phone market is absolutely brutal. If Samsung gets more expensive, people will look elsewhere. They'll start comparing value much more closely.
Okay, let's look at Apple first, the iPhone 17. Sources suggest Apple also kept their standard model steady at that $799 point.
Correct. The base iPhone 17 seems to have held at $799. Now, the Pro models, the 17 Pro and Pro Max, their prices did creep up a bit.
Ah, okay. Why was that? Component costs.
Not primarily, according to the reports. It was mostly because Apple bumped the base storage on the Pro models up to 256 GB.
Ah, so you're getting more storage for the starting price.
Exactly. And crucially, even with that storage bump, the top-end iPhone 17 Pro Max still landed at $1,199 starting, same as the current S25 Ultra price.
Okay. That's a key comparison point. Now, what about Google? The Pixel 10 also starts near $799.
Also around $799, yeah. But this is where you really have to look closely at the value, at what you actually get for that price.
How so?
Well, it's about the specs, specifically storage again. While the Pixel 10 might list at $799, Google often, historically, starts their base model configuration at just 128 GBs of storage.
Ah, okay. So Apple is giving you 256 GB on their base Pro for $1,199 potentially, or 1128 GB, 256 GB on the standard $799 on iPhone, while Google's $799 entry might only have 128 GB.
That seems to be the pattern. It's a really critical detail for you if you're cross-shopping.
Right.
Because if you actually want 256 GB on that Pixel, you'll likely have to pay more than the $799 sticker price. which effectively makes the Pixel, arguably a bit less value-packed right at the entry point, even though the starting price looks the same on the surface.
Yeah, that's a good point. Samsung has to be thinking about that specific comparison.
Definitely.
So let's say Samsung does manage to keep the S26 Ultra at $1,199.
Yeah.
What are the things, beyond just price, that make it stand out? What are their core strengths against Apple and Google?
Well, the sources are pretty clear. They're doubling down on what they do best. First up, screens.
Their displays are always top-notch.
Consistently. Brighter, often better color accuracy, better uniformity than most competitors. That matters for watching videos, for using your phone outside. It's a real, tangible benefit.
Okay, what else? The camera, obviously.
Okay. The camera, particularly the zoom system, still seen as best in class. While others have definitely improved their zoom, Samsung's optical and hybrid zoom, especially on the Ultra, it still generally offers more reach, more flexibility for people who really care about telephoto shots.
A clear advantage there for certain users. And the one thing neither Apple nor Google has.
The S Pen. Yep, exclusive to the Ultra.
Can't forget the S Pen.
Absolutely. It's a genuine differentiator. It's not just a little stick you poke the screen with. It's deeply integrated. For productivity, for note-taking, drawing, marking up documents. For a certain type of power user, the S Pen alone could be worth choosing Samsung, even if the price was slightly higher.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, this leads us perfectly into the real strategy for buying one of these. We've obsessed over the list price, but let's be honest, that's often not what people actually end up paying, is it?
Not even close a lot of the time. Promotions are absolutely massive for Samsung.
Huge.
They rely heavily on really aggressive promotional periods, especially around launch. Think about those high-value trade-in deals they offer.
Yeah, they give you a lot for your old phone sometimes.
Exactly. And the deep discounts you can get through the big carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, those deals can seriously slash the actual out-of-pocket cost for you.
And the key window for the best deals is always that pre-order period, right? Why is it so vital to jump in during those first couple of weeks?
Because Samsung throws everything at that launch window. They want big, splashy opening sales numbers, so they front-load the best incentives to get people to commit early.
What kind of incentives are we talking about usually?
The classic ones, and we expect them again. A free memory upgrade is very common. So you pay for the base 128 GB or 256 GB model, but you actually get the 256 GB or 512 GB version.
Nice, free storage bump.
Yeah. Plus, you often get free accessories thrown in, like a free pair of Galaxy Buds maybe, or a big discount on a Galaxy Watch.
Okay.
And sometimes, on top of that, you get discount coupons, sometimes worth hundreds of dollars, that you can use later on other Samsung gear.
So realistically, even if the list price does go up by, say, $100, those pre-order deals, the free storage, the free buds, they can easily cancel out that price hike, maybe even make it cheaper than the old price.
Exactly. It's a smart psychological play. The sticker price might look higher, but the effective price during pre-order is often much lower.
Right. Okay, before we wrap this up and synthesize, timing and top specs. When do we actually expect to see this thing?
The timing looks pretty standard. Strong expectation for an announcement early in the year. Usually that means February for the Galaxy S series.
February launch. Got it. And any word on the absolute top-end specs? Storage, specifically.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of buzz. Strong rumors, really, that the S26 Ultra will finally get a 1 TB storage option.
Joining the 1 TB club.
Yep, following Apple and Google, who already offer those massive storage tiers for their absolute top-end users, the ones who want everything.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's pull all this together. What does it all mean, given the cost pressures, the Exynos plan, the competition? What's the most likely scenario here?
Weighing everything, the most realistic outcome feels like Samsung will fight tooth and nail to keep that consumer list price flat, mirroring the S25, especially for the Ultra, at $1,199.
Holding the line again.
Holding the line. But that strategy really depends on two big ifs. First, their internal Exynos chips have to perform well enough and be deployed widely enough to actually absorb a big chunk of those rising component costs. That's the internal part.
Right.
Second, they then have to back that up externally with super aggressive carrier deals and those juicy pre-order bundles we talked about. That's how they manage any leftover financial pressure and make the value proposition look strong. It's like a 1-2 punch. Internal cost management, external value delivery.
Okay. So the final takeaway for you, the listener, is really that your decision is probably going to boil down to value, as always. The S26, especially the Ultra, it's going to promise upgrades, better design, faster performance, maybe camera improvements. But if that list price does jump significantly, say $100, that could immediately make value-focused buyers pause and seriously look at what Apple and Google are offering at potentially lower or stable prices.
Yeah, that price tag is the gatekeeper for early adoption, isn't it?
It really is. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider.
Yeah.
If that S26 Ultra did launch at, say, $1,299, that full $100 increase, would that price jump alone be enough to make you instantly say, nope, I'm waiting for the pre-order deals or the carrier discounts? Or would it make you immediately shift your focus and start comparing it much more directly against the next iPhone or Pixel instead?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the $12.99 question. Your answer really determines if Samsung's whole pricing gamble pays off.